Hi, welcome back to another episode of Thinking Inside the Box on Noah's Ark. Today we're going to talk about an effect called ADT. It's also called automatic double tracking or artificial double tracking. So ADT was invented in 1966 by Kent Townsend, the technical engineer at Abbey Road Studios at the time. And ADT was invented as a means to alleviate the recording process of double tracking, as it's called. Well, double tracking is a good means to reinforce performance by recording the same part twice or more. And John Lennon from the Beatles was getting tired of doing that all the time, so he demanded a way to do that automatically. So let's first listen to a track by Electric Light Orchestra that features prominently the ADT effect on Jeff Lynne's vocals. And as you may know, Jeff Lynne was a huge Beatles fan, so he used a lot of Beatles recording techniques in his records. So let's listen to Mr. Blue Sky from the double album Out of the Blue, released in 1977.
Why you had to hide away for so long? Where did we go wrong? Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why you had to hide away for so long. Where did we go wrong?
So how did Townsend come up with the effect in the analog world? Well, let's say you record a vocal track on the first machine. Well, you're going to have to tap the signal from the record head of that first machine and print the signal to a second machine. But what you do is you combine the signal from the reproduce head, or also called play head, of both machines, and you're going to sum the signal together. And at this point, you should have exactly the same signal on both machines synced, and you should get a doubling in amplitude. But the trick is you're going to use a vari-speed control that's going to control the speed of the tape on the second machine, so that the second vocal track is going to fluctuate, becoming faster or slower compared to the first one. And that's going to create parts where both signals are going to be out of phase, and other parts where it's going to be in phase. And that's going to produce the famous ADT sound that has this kind of phased and flanged characteristics to it. So now that we know how Ken did it in the analog world, well, let's try to do that in the DAW, in the digital domain. Let's jump into Pro Tools, and I'm going to show you how to do it with this special Waves plugin from the Abbey Road collection called Real ADT. So I just opened Pro Tools with an old session of mine called Confessions of a Wingman, and we're going to try to use ADT to reinforce guitar performance. So you can use it on many different sources, including vocals and other instruments. But this time we're going to focus on the electric guitar. And we're going to see that ADT is going to add to this mono signal a sense of depth, and it's also going to double the part, so it's going to feel like it's more than one guitar playing. And it's also going to add that flanged kind of effect that the ADT gives. So to give you a little bit of context, I'm going to play the track first. So let's jump to the mixer window. And I'm going to show you what I did with the solo guitar. So I've added the Waves plugin called Real ADT, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit the interface of this plugin. So on the left side, you've got the source signal that's coming in, and then on the right side, you've got the ADT signal, so the doubled part. And on the top of the plugin, you can align the origin of the ADT signal with the source signal. So this is going to determine where the doubled signal is going to be placed relative to the source. So at this moment, it's set at minus 16 milliseconds before the source signal. And then after you've set that origin, you can use the varispeed control to fluctuate around that origin. And there are two ways to do that. You can actually use this wheel and manually change the ADT signal, and you can automate that setting if you'd like. But you can also have an automatic way of doing it using an LFO, so low frequency oscillator, and you can set the shape and the rate. So you can also modify the panning. So for now, I've got the source signal set hard left and the doubled signal panned hard right. And you can also add a little bit of saturation with the drive control. So let's listen to the solo guitar without the Real ADT. And I'm just going to mute also the reverb so that you can have a dry signal. So this is the guitar without the ADT effect. And with the ADT effect. Without. With. So it gives a little more depth, and it feels like it's two guitars instead of one. So let's hear that in the context of the song. So first, without the ADT. With the ADT. Without. With. So that's it. ADT on an electric guitar in Pro Tools. So that's it, guys. I hope you liked this video on ADT, and let me know in the comment section below how you used it on your tracks. And don't forget to subscribe if you liked the video, and I'll see you next time.